Welcome to the Queer Love Podcast, the silly and serious shenanigans of two queer relationship coaches. I am your host, Elizabeth Cunningham.
And I'm your host, Lee Greeps.
On this podcast, we talk about how to live your best queer life with fulfilling, healthy relationships and anything else that makes your little queer heart happy. Because living your life outside of the heteronormative scripts is totally possible for you.
Each episode, we explore all things queer love from our professional perspective as relationship coaches, our own personal experiences, and as partners.
If you love our show, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at Queer Love Relationships. You can also check out our website, www.queerloverelationships.com.
Thanks for following us and enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Queer Love Podcast.
Woo, 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 woo. That was such a definitive way that you said that this time. I'm like, I feel like the woos didn't go with it.
I agree.
I was like, I feel like I shouldn't do a woo with that. It was like very, like, punctual.
Oh,
Usually,
I mean,
usually it ends on like a high note.
Oh.
You're like, podcast, period. So I'm like, well, now that feels a bit inappropriate.
What? I was trying to be more definitive so you could do like woo, I was trying to
I feel like I was interrupting a speech.
Oh shit. That was not my intention.
Well,
there you go. Which is actually something that we're going to be talking about today. Speeches. And specifically, we're actually...
Speeches and punctuation.
That's right. We are turning into a public speaking podcast, actually.
Actually not. We are not doing that. I don't agree.
Not even a joke. Can't even do sarcasm around that.
I'm like, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to tell you.
Well, to not do woos, apparently, after someone says something definitive.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's a basic understanding. Everyone knows that. Well, everyone's probably listening to this and being like, oh my God, I can't believe you still did it.
I'm just saying it sounds like you know a lot more about public speaking than... Usually when things seem really obvious to you as in the royal you, like it's something that is not obvious to other people, it's something that's actually an indication that that's like a piece of knowledge that you have that could be useful for others.
Well, if you ever want to know when to shout woo woo woo, come talk to me.
Excellent. Well, what are we actually talking about today?
Talking about following your intuition.
Nailed it.
I know.
And specifically following your intuition when you are like... What we're going to talk about today more specifically is like the polarity or duality between freedom versus restriction. And when you're feeling restricted, like when you're feeling like you need more freedom or you want more freedom, and also when you are like feeling into or expressing the freedom that you need, but then feeling like restricted by that. Because then you speak something that you need, and then there is this natural progression of like, okay, well, now there's something to do about that, or now there's something to be responsible for here. Because like freedom doesn't come without responsibility. Like freedom comes with like, okay, I want this need, I have this need for freedom and I want it to look this certain way or I want it to feel this certain way. But then that means that you actually have to do something about that. And then that can kind of like, again, keep the teeter-totter of freedom versus restriction, because then maybe you feel restricted by the responsibility of taking the action to get you to the place of that freedom, right? So that's kind of like the subcategory of following your intuition today.
Imagine like Cornell notes, like subcategory.
I love taking notes like that.
Oh my gosh. Of course you do.
I take notes like that constantly
What
all the
was
time.
the Cornell notes. Oh my goodness.
It makes me so happy. Like the first time that
That's the one that's
yeah.
Avid would do, right? Is that the one?
What
Or what
is
did
it?
Avid? Did you ever have Avid in your schools?
No, what's that?
It's like a program.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, like maybe it's just in California. I don't know, but it's
It's like a computer program?
no, it's like not like the quote unquote gifted students or anything like that, but it's more like a program to help set people up for like college or like, success. But
Oh.
you don't like you're not required to be like, the high achieving student that's like expected in like AP classes or honors classes and stuff. Like but they had a specific way that they had to take notes. Like if you were an
Oh.
Avid student, like and there was like a whole thing, and which is why I never did Avid because I hated that style of notes. I was like, no way, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know like the whole, ins and outs of it, but like I use that structure loosely because I
Yeah.
really like it. It helps me. It helps like
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I can get where that's the breakdown and stuff, but
Yeah.
my intuition tells me to take notes in a different way. So,
Well,
getting back to
I
that.
love that for you, and I love your freedom to do so.
Yeah, don't restrict me. Intuition.
Yes.
What is it?
What is it? Tell me.
I posed the question.
Feel like you have the answer.
No. What? Anyway, I feel like this is gonna be different for everyone, but
I also
think
feel like
I
it's
mean,
gonna be different for everyone.
I think the question I would be more interested in hearing from someone is like, what has them feel like, connected to themselves, because it's like intuition is like just you connecting into yourself, and like, the gut feeling, for instance, is like another way that people can like phrase it.
Yeah.
So it's like, what has you feel connected to that? Because I think that then tells you like, what is intuition for you? Because like some people, it's like, it is just a visceral kind of feeling, and it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, go this way,
Yeah.
Don't take Cornell notes. It's but it could be, or it could be like literally like hearing these kinds of like messages or like words or like seeing, or maybe you get like more visuals, and it's like that's connecting you to yourself. So it's like, I mean, everyone experiences it differently, but I think that's like always like, what has you feel connected to yourself, or like what has you feel like guided by yourself, or guided by your instinct or intuition, things like that. Because I think that like sheds a lot of light around what that is for you.
Yeah, I mean, all of that, I think intuition feels or occurs differently for everyone. Because I think for some people, intuition is like a sound or a conversation or like a knowing. And for some people, it's like feelings, colors, shapes, images.
Yeah.
Or like your body, like you were just saying, like your gut, or I was just having a conversation recently with someone where it's like feeling into your body for yeses and nos. And some people have that and some people don't.
Yeah.
Right. And so yeah, intuition is different for everyone, but I do think that it is listening to yourself. And I also think that in order to what's the word? In order to really be able to hear or know what your intuition is, you also need to practice discernment around other emotions, because I think like with really charged emotions or with really big emotions, those can override your intuition. Like my anxiety overrides my intuition.
No, I mean, I think that's also
Right?
just a part that I think gets missed a lot when it comes to like intuition things, is also recognizing like what kind of state you are in terms of, you know, like with your nervous system.
Yeah.
Because like if, especially if you're in that, which a lot of people are in a constant like kind of anxious or like activated state, or like kind of like irritated, or just like on the go, like you constantly have to be going. It's like that's a lot of energy buzzing through you that you're, you know, that's not in a grounded state to where, because it's like you need that kind of a stillness factor.
Like grounding, connection. I think of it as like being connected to like being grounded and being connected to myself.
Yeah, so it's like that centered kind of feeling, as opposed to like feeling like you're just like getting pulled apart in all these different directions, or maybe like you just feel so down, right? Like maybe you just feel so in a more depressed kind of experience.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, that is going to be the, you know, where you're coming from in terms of like how you're experiencing the world and like how you're experiencing yourself and like driving your thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So it's like really, you know, recognizing that is a factor when it's like, you know, being able to connect into yourself, connect into like your center and all that.
Yeah, and I think one way to know, or to begin to know if you've been acting on, or if you've been acting on your intuition and or what your intuition feels like, is looking at things from your past where maybe you either know that you skipped over your intuition. You're like, oh, I had a feeling about this, or I had a knowing about this, or whatever it is for you, and you didn't go with it, and then the thing didn't turn out very well, right? So it's like, oh, that's what my intuition, because maybe, you know, you made a decision based off of what was practical, or you made a decision based off of a fear, or you made a decision based off of someone else's expectation of you, whether that be a partner or family or just like generally, you know, our culture or society or something like that. Like you overrode, you know, that part of you. And I think that on the Queer Love podcast, I think most queer people can relate to overriding their own intuition based off of either expectations of other people or the practicality of the situation. And I'm also, underneath practicality, I'm also putting in safety as well. So maybe you overrode your own intuition because you didn't feel safe in a certain situation, right? Which is a pretty normal, unfortunately, pretty normal experience for queer folks. And so like looking back on those times, like even if you overrode your intuition, you still have a sense of what it was, right? So even looking back, and sometimes you can look back and be like, oh, I followed my intuition on this, and this is what it felt like, and this is what it led to, and you know, these were, you know, you can use your past as data too, in order to, and also like moving forward, you can continue to collect that data. You know, you're not going to do everything perfectly. Cue my side note tangent to all my perfectionists out there who want to get things right. I love you. I see you. I am you. And it's okay that it's okay to mess things up sometimes. Like, it's okay to take a wrong turn and be able to correct. Like, part of life is being able to correct wrong turns, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, it is. It's all just data collection anyway. Yeah. Because it's, I mean, yeah, especially with the going to the past, it's going to be really easy to be like, I should have done, or I already knew, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, oh, yeah, I did know that. And then, yeah, I chose something different for whatever reason. And then but then it's just like, oh yeah, but now I know, like, I know, you know, like what it feels like in my body, or I know how it came to me in all those kinds of situations. But yeah, it's just more of like, okay, then I chose this, and now I can choose this. And yeah, that sucks, because that does suck, of whatever situation it was.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know, here we are at this juncture.
Yeah. So coming back to the right now, like, what are you dealing with right now? What are you dealing with right now where there is a sense of freedom versus restriction? Like, I would like to have this type of freedom, or I'm feeling intuitively pulled towards, this type of freedom. However, you're running into feeling restricted, or maybe you have started to take action, or you started to express what you want, or like the or express, you're starting to express like what you want, or you're starting to express what that freedom feels like for you. And now you're starting to feel the weight of the responsibility of like, oh, like if I actually move towards this freedom, that means that I have to change this, or that means that I have to have this hard conversation, or maybe even asking the question, like, what does that mean about my current relationships, and how they're structured, or what they look like, or how I'm feeling about my partner or partners, whatever the case may be, right?
Freedom. So just but to bring that in though, like what is freedom for each person? I think that's also just like, or just knowing like what that feels like can help guide in that too. And I think especially with intuition, intuition in a world where it's not like, you know what, I'm feeling guided towards this, and it's like, yeah, but there are things that are quote unquote restrictive in you getting to it, maybe in like taking, for example, you have an intuitive knowing, deep knowing that you need to leave your job, your current job. Like, it's just like, dude, not the vibe. But it's like, but you can't just do that, because it's like, oh, well, but I need money, and I need to pay my rent or food or feed my kids, and, those kinds of things, right? And so that's where it's like, well, I know what is freedom.
Or feed my cat.
But it's like, so it's like, the way of freedom for yourself in, getting away from this job for whatever reason. And then like you run into that restrictiveness of like, yeah, but I can't just do it right now. Right. Like, right. And so you start to, and that is where it comes down to, okay, what does that look like for me in this, in a world where there are practical steps to take, and, kind of getting creative from there and everything.
Yeah. Well, and before we get to like how you can create, because that is something that I want to talk about. But before going there, like also looking at, I know for myself, that this juxtaposition of freedom versus restriction always brings up a lot of frustration for me. And then you can externalize that frustration into how things are not fair, or like even blaming people or circumstances for why you feel the way that you do. So I also want to caution you around that, and for you to recognize that these are your feelings. Like it's your, it's your internal conflict of freedom versus restriction, and that there may be some things inside of that are absolutely true out here in real life, but there may be some things that aren't, that you need to get curious around instead of upset about. Right? So for example, in a partnership, if you're feeling restricted in your partnership, instead of immediately like faulting, blaming, getting upset with, or irritated with your partner and being like, oh, well, if they weren't like this, or if only they would agree to this, or I want to bring this up to them, but that conversation would never go well, or whatever it is that's like having you stop the action that's keeping you more frustrated. Again, inside of all of this is taking responsibility for how you are feeling. And not to like, the opposite of what I'm talking about would be to blame yourself And like, that's also not what I want you to do here either. This isn't your fault. Like, this isn't a blame towards you. And it's not 100% on, on you either. Like, there are legitimately outside circumstances that you do need to consider that are real. But just noticing that when you come to something with this already fixed mindset of it's not going to work, or I wish it were a different way, or I'm frustrated or irritated because of XYZ reasons, when really what that's coming from is your internal struggle of freedom versus restriction, and your preconceived notions about how it's going to go versus like actually taking the action or having the hard conversation, or even just like getting curious or letting yourself consider that it could be a different way, or that other people around you could possibly feel a different way. One of the things in my that I love saying this, and it also got brought up in a client call last week, is the willingness to be surprised. Like, can you step into a space of being willing to be surprised, being willing to be surprised by yourself for what's possible for you, being willing to be surprised by your partner or other people in your life about what they're able to talk about or handle or have discussions around, right? Like the willingness to be in the job situation, like the willingness to be surprised around what you could do or how you could maneuver things in a way that actually does like work for you or start to work for you, like start to go down that, path.
Just
right?
The beginner's mind.
Yeah, beginner's mind. Exactly. So yeah, so before we go into like, talking about solutions, because I think that when we start to talk about solutions too soon, what I see, and I'm sure that Lee sees this with their coaching clients as well, but when we start to talk about solutions too soon, before we take responsibility for our own emotions, before we see, what we can be responsible for, before we allow ourselves to consider that things could be different regardless of the circumstances, then when we start to talk about solutions, then what your brain does and then what comes out of your mouth are all of the reasons why that's not possible for you. So you do have to open yourself up to like different possibilities first. And then solutions are going to be a lot more easy to talk about and a lot easier to take action on, because then it's a game inside of curiosity and possibility rather than frustration or forcing an outcome or being resigned to that it's not going to change. Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, just being able to, because as you were talking, it's also thinking about in the context of freedom versus restriction is like everyone has their own relationship to freedom versus restriction. Like, for instance, you said, yeah, you get really frustrated and irritated, which
right.
I feel like, yeah, a lot of people would share that. And then sometimes it's, there's not that kind of level of energy towards freedom. Like it's more of in that subdued kind of space, right? Because of your experience with whatever freedom means to you in your life. And so recognizing, your relationship to these experiences, and maybe it's like, you feel a lot more comfortable with restriction because it's like you grew up in a lot more of a restrictive environment, right? And so like freedom is actually a lot more dangerous. And so like you kind of shy away from freedom versus someone who has always had a lot more freedom. And so when restriction comes into play, they get upset and angry because it's taking away something that has always been there more so for them, right? And so being able to recognize like what your relationship is to these different experiences then also allows you to be in that discomfort, which is, what you're talking about before going into the solutions, right? Like where it's like, I'm so upset, I don't get my freedom, I must get it right now. They're the worst person ever, and and I'm just gonna go, like that can just be, you're not being with the discomfort of it, right? And or the person that's like, whoo, that sounds terrifying. I'm just going to stay right here and I'm just going to go la, 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 la. I don't want it, right? And so noticing what is your response to those kinds of situations and going, oh, what is that for me, right? And like taking responsibility for the emotions that are present or the sensations that are present. Like I'm getting really tight, and or I'm starting to like put my hands into fists and like, you know, those kinds of things, so that you can then go, okay, what's going on here? Because all of that is going to block your ability to be open in a way that's like, okay, yep, all of that's going on, and you know, I either want to go run off to my room, I want to run off to another country, whatever it is. Like it's being able to go, okay, that's there, and clearing through that a bit so that you can then go, okay, what else can be possible here? And just being like, what else can be possible? I mean, that's going, you know, that's when you steer towards like, okay, what can I do about this? But that first part of being able to recognize what is there, observe it, be with it, you know, and it's all going to be uncomfortable and scratchy and itchy and all the things. And, you know, that's also your ability to clear away some of that, the charge to it for you, so that when you are up against freedom versus restriction again at some point in life, because that is what happens, you know, it's a different experience for you, right? And so it's like, that's the whole point of these things, is just to go, ah, yes, this time. Ah, yes, this time. And so you can start to, you know, evolve within that for yourself on an individual level.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, being able to have that awareness around your emotions is also going to have you be able to tap into your intuition better, as we were, you know, talking about at the beginning, like having that discernment between like what's your intuition versus like what's a really charged emotion that you have right now, and like what part of you are you listening to, and what part of you is like calling the shots, so to speak.
Yeah, because that's all going to be feeding into the thoughts, and then the thoughts are going to be feeding into those emotions, and then the emotions are going to be feeding it back, you know. Like it's just like a game of ping pong between your body and your mind. You know, it's the what came first, chicken or the egg? Doesn't matter, it's a loop. And so it's, yeah, like you really are able to bring that awareness to, okay, what's going on here, so then you can start to work with what is, move from that space, which, you know, involves a variety of things depending on where you're at with everything. But yeah, with that goal of being able to, you know, tap back into that connected sense of self, and, you know, your gut feeling, your intuition, your instincts. Words. So
All the words. Yeah, beautiful. So in moving through that, then and being able to have that awareness and openness about what could come next is then the ability to look for unconventional or unorthodox solutions too. Because one of the things that we run into, and I say we as like all human beings, run into, is black and white thinking, or this or that thinking. Like, oh, if I can't pay my bills without this job, then I have to stay at this job. If I can't get my needs met outside of this relationship, then I have to stay in this relationship. Or if I can't get my needs met in this relationship, then I have to leave this relationship. Like that's very, you know, black or white, this or that thinking. When we can start to be more aware of these moving parts inside of us, and when we start to express to the people around us what those moving parts are and what our desires are, then we can start to look for pathways. And I think I like pathways better than solutions, because solutions makes it seem like very final, when it's just like, it's just the next step in the journey.
Yeah.
Right?
I just always like options, possibilities.
Options, possibilities. Yeah.
A buffet.
Yeah. Next step. Next phase. I like that too. Next phase.
Words.
Words. What are the words that resonate with you? Like, what are some, like, if you could actually start to brainstorm, at least 7 different possibilities, 7 different next steps, 7 different outcomes. What would those look like, right? So in the case of being in a partnership where you feel like, oh, well, I'm not getting all of my needs met here, so therefore I have to leave. What are some other possibilities around getting those needs met? What needs are you getting met inside of this partnership, right? Like this person who is here, who you love, who they love you, what are the benefits here? Like, what are the things that are being fulfilled here? And what are the things that are not being fulfilled here? And can you get those other places? Like, maybe you're in an open relationship or you're polyamorous, and so maybe you start dating other people, but maybe you you get those things from friendships, or you get those things from family members, or from time alone. Like, what are these needs, and what are different ways that they could be met? Also, sometimes in partnerships, when you start to really get specific about what you're needing and what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you can start to create things in that partnership that get that need met in a way that you didn't expect before, right? And so that's also a conversation of what's like the ultimate desire here, like how do you actually want to feel, right? Versus like what's a specific outcome. Like, so instead of being like, I would really like to have someone go, ballroom dancing with me every Thursday night. Does it have to be that? Does it have to be ballroom dancing every single Thursday night? Like, what would be accomplished by doing that activity with your partner? And it's like, oh, well, I would feel more connected and we would have a lot more fun. Oh, okay, great. Are there other ways? Are there other things, other activities that you could both do that would have you both feel really connected and also have more fun? And then if you still, want to go ballroom dancing every Thursday night and your partner is like, I am not interested in ballroom dancing whatsoever, is there someone else that you can go with? Or can you go alone and find partners, who are also single at the ballroom dancing place, right? Like, really looking at like what are all of the possibilities here, and why do you want that thing in the first place? Like, what's the intention? What's the goal here?
It's just like the underlying need of the request.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes it's, I think that's the thing with when it comes to those situations when like needs are present. Like sometimes it's like, no, I legitimately need it like that, because I think it's, obviously, in the situation that you just shared, it's a little bit silly, right? Like where it's like, okay, but there.
That was literally, that just flew out of my mouth.
I think that's a very, like, it's a very common kind of situation where people are like, no, you must do this activity. And it's like, okay, but what's there for you? Like, what would that accomplish? What's the underlying need? And then there's other things where maybe it's like, no, like, yes, this is the underlying need, and this is the pathway that I want it met within this dynamic, because maybe it's just a larger kind of situation. And so, I mean, I think that's just, I'm thinking of like all different kinds of sessions that I've had with people, and it's like they're near a breaking point in the relationship where, where it's like, actually, we've been experiencing this for years, and I might actually want out of this relationship, right? Sure. And so the thinking of those other needs where it's like, no, like we've tried all these different possibilities and actually this is the way. And then it's like, okay, but that now, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's, there is it's an interesting experience to find the balance as well. Because I think depending on how attached you've been to maybe a certain outcome or a certain ideal in your mind, and it's like maybe that's just not going to get fulfilled, but it's not like a deadly blow to the relationship in any way, but there is like the sense of the grief around it too. And I think that can easily get maybe misinterpreted as like, no, like I need it kind of situation, because like grief is hard to be with. And so I think that's also just another thing that, I've witnessed with folks of as they navigate these kinds of conversations or conflicts within relationships, is like even recognizing that, yeah, maybe you're getting that underlying need met, and it's like, but I still feel something about it. That means I need the other thing. It's like, or it could be just like the loss of it because you had played out going to the ballroom dance class with your partner so many times in your head. And so like maybe you go to the ballroom dance by yourself, right? And you're like, oh, but I feel sad. I feel da 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 da. And then you're like, you know what? I actually need it. Forget this person. Bye. But then it's really just the discomfort of being like, okay, I need to kind of detach myself a little bit more from that now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you have any like specific examples of like make it or break it things, or like things where it's just like, oh, well, we have tried, all of these things and it's actually just not going to work.
I'm like, let me try and think of specifics. I just need like flashes of words.
I mean, if you can't, I can think of scenarios too.
I mean, yeah, you're a lot quicker. You've probably thought of 10.
I've thought of 2.
100.
Well, one that I thought of was around kink.
Yeah, I'm not gonna think of that.
Because there are specific things in, like, when someone has a kink, it can be very specific. Like, it's not like, oh, I just want to have this type of feeling or this type of connection. It's like, no, I want this type of sensation, or I want this type of domination, or I want, like, for example, in like BDSM, or even in BDSM, there's like a lot of different flavors of BDSM, where it's like maybe the person that you're with is like more dominant, but they're more of like a brat tamer, and you're more like a, rope bunny, right? Where it's like you want to be tied up, like you want to be, maybe you want to be like a piece of art, right? That's a common like want or desire for like a rope bunny, is like you want to be like a piece of art. Like you want your dom to like treat you like this piece of art and create your body in specific ways and like all this stuff. And there's specific releases and things that happen in being like, and having that happen. But your person is dominant, but they're more of like a brat tamer. Like they want you to like fight them back. Like they want you to give them sass. They want you to make their job difficult. And you're like, no, just mold me. Just like, I'm here to like submit to you, and I want to mold you to mold me, like all this stuff. That's like 2 totally different feelings,
Well, every time you said brat, I just thought of those Bratz dolls. That's literally all I could think of. I was like, what? Why is that involved here? And then I started seeing like G.I. Joe in like with the Dom situation. And I'm like, yeah,
God.
those dolls don't play, I guess.
That's hilarious. That's really funny. But those are like, one person is a dom and the other person is a sub, but they have 2 very distinctive outcomes that and feelings and sensations and pleasure that they want to get, that they're not receiving from their partner because they want 2 separate things. So like, what can you do in that situation? Like, are you open to like playing with other people? Are you open to, switching those roles? Like, do you have to be a brat tamer every single time? Can you be the dominant artist? At least.
Can you be a Bratz doll?
Right. Or can you be a brat? Like, instead of like being a, submissive piece of art, like, can you be a brat instead? Can you try those things on, like, I don't know. you know? So like I'm just thinking of, different like kink scenarios where it's like it's not like an easy journey to
Mm.
find common ground, you know?
Yeah.
Um and but it's not impossible either,
Yeah.
right?
I did think of one.
Tell me.
I mean, it's very basic, but it's like I feel like a lot of people would understand it. I mean, it's underlying need is like security in a relationship, right? And maybe, the person's been asked, like, the way that they've been asking for that is, marriage, for instance, right? And so it's like, no, I want to get married. And the other partner's maybe like, like maybe they just have like a weird experience with marriage, or they're just like a little bit more hesitant, or they don't see the value of it, right? And so it's like,
Yeah.
but the other person's like, I want to get married, blah, blah, blah. And so, maybe it's like, oh yeah, underlying need is security. What are other ways for, to show like and feel secure in this relationship, right? And so that, you can navigate that, and maybe it's like a continued conversation, but that thing in them is just like, no, but I actually legitimately just want to get married. Like, that's just important to me, right? And so it's like, no, if they don't actually want to be married at some point, like within the next year or so, say, with some sort of timeline or whatever, it's like, I don't want to be in this relationship then, because it's like, I want that, right? And maybe the other person is like, yeah, I don't want that. Or you could do the same thing with like kids and stuff too, but
That's what I was thinking.
yeah,
I was
I mean,
like, kids is similar, right?
yeah, it's the same kind of thing, right? That sense of like, oh, I want that, like family, right? Like that need. And family could be 5 kids or 5 cats, who knows? And so it's, there are those different pathways, but those kinds of things where it's like, yeah, we've talked about it, we've done these things and all that, and like, yeah, there is like a security that comes from whatever it is. Like maybe we move in together, and they're like, yeah, that's totally cool. But that level of like marriage is just like off the table for one, and burned into the table for the other. And so, those kinds of situations would be, where it's like, okay, one of y'all got to do something here. And if none, all right, well, then there we are.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on following your intuition, freedom versus restriction, unconventional pathways and possibilities?
I think I'm thinking of something maybe just for a practical step, for yourself, that is not go have this hard conversation with this person right now. Even just in the realm of feeling more connected to yourself, kind of tapping into your intuition, your gut feeling, all that kind of stuff, is to like, find practices or create practices, whatever, that like help you to do so. And just letting that become more of a consistent piece in your life, like in your daily life. Because I think, having those anchors in each day and each week and each month and all that are like, it's one of those very subtle things, right? Like it's in the background, but it's, it turns up when it's like really needed, right? And so it's like when you have those consistent rituals, practices each day and stuff, it's like, this isn't doing nothing. It's like everyone's complaint with meditation. It's not doing nothing. And then it's like, you do it consistently, you start to notice like differences in like how you respond or how you see the world and everything. So it is that kind of slow burn in the background. But then, if you have that touch point with yourself more regularly, maybe you get to a point where you're like, man, yeah, this situation, I don't know what's going on, I'm feeling anxious, and like you're starting to come from that space. It's like, okay, then I can go do this practice, I can go do my ballroom dance, like maybe that's your ritual, who knows? Or I'm gonna, whatever it is, I'm gonna go cook this thing, because then I can listen to my music, and like that's a grounding practice, and I can like come from there, and I'm like, oh, I'm connected to myself again. Okay, let's think about this again, so like starting to do that for yourself, I think it just goes a long way, when these larger situations will arise.
It's true. Yeah. One of those practices for me is listening to music while I'm in the shower. Just like that's super grounding for me to just like unplug, like be in the shower with like the water coming over you, just like listening to music, just like connecting in, feeling into like my own self, my own energy, like singing, all of that, like, and it's something, it's little, it's small, it's not like a huge, not a huge thing. But it makes me happy. It gives me a little charge. It gives me a little boost, like, and I really notice, especially in like having this ritual for like years and years and years. I also notice it like if I don't do that, or for whatever reason, then I notice a difference in it, right?
Yeah, that usually will tell you too after
Yeah.
time. Like that's always, I have clients like that. They're like, maybe they traveled for the last like week or two or something, and they're like, oh my God, I stopped. I wasn't able to do my meditations, or I wasn't able to do like my journaling or whatever, and they're like, I feel like poo. Like they can feel the anxiety, they feel the disconnect from
Right.
themselves. And it's like, so it's a very clear night and day situation when you have created that regularity and then remove it,
Right.
and you're like, oh my God, I need to. And then, they usually come in with the goal of wanting to like be able to create a way, even when they're traveling for work or whatever, of like, no, I have to ensure I get 5 minutes at least, out of my 30-minute daily ritual. It's like, I have to have at least 5 minutes because not worth it. Right.
Yeah.
So
mine with that is also yoga, because that also gets like disrupted in travel and stuff, and just being like,
movement is one that like,
yeah, because I'm
people
just like,
lose it.
I will literally, and I have multiple times, done yoga at the airport.
Yeah.
I'm like, because because you have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And like, I'm not going to wake up extra early to do yoga here. I will literally get to the airport, get to the gate, and do my yoga at the gate. Like, I will wear my yoga clothes to the airport so that I can do yoga at the gate before getting on the plane. And actually, in some airports now, they have yoga rooms too.
They have meditation rooms.
Yeah. So I think that that's really cool. But yeah, I will unashamedly do yoga at.
Yeah, no, I'm like, once you become one of those creatures of habit, like in that way, with like your rituals, your practices, you're gonna be like, look, I don't care where I'm at. Like,
you are absolutely that way. You are 100% that way.
Always been like that. Like rituals have always been important to me ever since I was a kid. I've been doing this, right? And so I'm like, I don't care where I'm at. Like, this is what's happening. And if y'all have a problem, it's okay. I'm not gonna see you again anyway.
I knew that rituals were important to you, like, from the get-go, but I didn't realize the lengths to which you would do your rituals until the first time that we went on like a little road trip, and you brought weights and the blender. So that you could ensure that you could lift weights and make your smoothie no matter where we went. And I was just like, damn, I knew you were dedicated, but this is next level. And I was super impressed. I was just like, fuck yeah. I mean, I'm here for it.
Dude. I'm like, I will find a way in all those kinds of situations. I'm like, no. Because I'm like, I know what helps me to be well. So I'm like...
Yeah, I love your uncompromising rituals. It motivates me for sure. It's inspiring, and it motivates me because like I thought that I was like really good about it with like my yoga and meditation and all that stuff, but like with the stuff that you've done, I'm like, damn, that is next level. But it really does, like, it if you have those things that connect you back to you, then it is going to be a lot easier to drop into yourself, drop into your intuition, like stay connected. And that was kind of like my closing statement with all of this, in moving from like in our topics from following your intuition to feeling into freedom versus restriction, and then also like finding unconventional solutions to things, is really just going back to honing in that intuition in whatever way feels good to you, and allowing that practice to evolve over time too, because it certainly has for me, for sure. Like, where my practice really started with yoga and meditation, but it's also evolved and added on to like either journaling, writing, or speaking, like verbalizing every single day, just like getting all the thoughts down or out. It's also involves like different, more like spiritual rituals now that like I didn't have before, and so allowing things to evolve. And oh, that was the other thing that I wanted to say about intuition. Okay, there was two things apparently. So the other thing that I wanted to say about intuition is that it's okay if your intuition is just for right now too, and that if whatever answer or signal you're getting from your intuition today is different a month from now or a year from now too. Like, it has, like, in the case of being in a relationship, if your intuition is like, no, stay with this person, like keep being with them, like stick it out, find a way, like if that's what your intuition is saying right now, that's great. And then if a year from now your intuition is like, you've done everything that you can and you've turned over all the stones and now it's time to go, it's time to move on, like, it's okay if your intuition changes over time. It doesn't mean that a year ago you were wrong. It means that things change, including yourself, including what you need, including what works for you. Like, it's okay to have that movement, and it's normal and natural, and that is just generally what's going to happen, over time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also, just going back to the other point of, when you're like looking at your past and you're like, oh man, I messed up or whatever, is that in these situations, like, for example, the thing you just said of like, right now, yeah, for sure, intuition's cool, chill, everything. Year from now, it's like, all right, we're goodsies. It's like, yeah, your intuition, 1 year ago is not like, quote unquote, wrong or led you astray or whatever. It's like, no, because I think the whole thing with intuition is like, it's connecting you to yourself. It's building your understanding of yourself. And it's like, at that point, that's what was needed to understand more about yourself. And like, that's just what's going on, whatever. And now here we are in another juncture of life, and this is what's going on. And it's like, okay, cool. And I mean, I know obviously everyone has their own take on that kind of idea, but
sure,
yeah,
that's my take, and apparently it's your take too. So,
heck yeah, I'm always like, freaking listen to yourself, walk out the party. I've done that. I walked into places and I'm like, okay, bye, this is not the vibe. I'm like,
oh man, yep,
great times.
I know that's true about you. Lee don't give a fuck.
No, I
know. Any other closing sentiments for this week's podcast for our beautiful listeners?
No. I have said all the words. Words.
My last thought is that you can trust yourself.
Can you?
Wow. Rude.
I'm just being
cheeky.
Being an example of life. When life comes in, it's like, I don't know, can you?
I don't know, can you?
And you're
can
like,
you
oh man, can I? I don't know.
Yes, you can. I will be playing the role of your intuition. Lee will be playing the role of life.
Be your little shoulder demon.
Oh my god. All right. We love you.
Love you. Trust yourself. Maybe.
Oh my god. Terrible.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Queer Love Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Drop us a line on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at Queer Love Relationships, or email us at queerloverelationships@gmail.com.
If you are interested in working with us, follow the Linktree link in the show notes. See if our offers resonate with you, and if they do, sign up with us or book a discovery session.
We are so grateful that you're here, listening, learning, and growing with us.
Until next time, keep loving.